Forge! Gang! I'm still a heart man! Let's go! I am your host, Imperatorofforge, otherwise known as Forge Warhammer. And today I will be doing my review of the Fortuneteller Crone Arc, the manga version. Please note that this is the manga version, not the anime, but the manga. This arc is relatively short. It is a transitory arc. It is basically a sort of mini arc between Red Ribbon and the arc that follows after it, which I will not name. You'll find out when I continue the manga story. This continues Son Goku as the primary protagonist in Dragon Ball's adaptation of the Chinese Ming Dynasty novel, Journey to the West. It is about Goku's search for the Dragon Balls and his attempts to resurrect Bora back to life using them. Goku had previously crushed the entire Red Ribbon army. Tanks, planes, soldiers, war, bullets, fire, bombs, and flames alike. But Goku overcame all of it. The world's most dangerous terrorist organization, completely overpowered by one child. How in the world was Goku able to do such a feat? But he had only 6 Dragon Balls. And for some reason, the Dragon Radar was unable to detect the last Dragon Ball. It was assumed that it had been eaten up by a dinosaur or some organic material, blocking out the signal of the last Dragon Ball. So Master Roshi, the mutant Roshi, Goku and Krillin's martial arts teacher and sensei, suggested them to go to Fortuneteller Baba, Fortuneteller Crone's palace, to get a reading, a divination of where the last Dragon Ball was. So they traveled there and they journey, and the journey is more or less quick and fast, and they go to Fortuneteller Crone's palace, and there they find extremely rich, wealthy people, as well as strong fighters. There are 5 fighters ahead of them, and strangely, they come out completely beat up, broken, and torn asunder. There's also screams that are heard. There is a ghost, a spirit with a Japanese rice farmer hat, who brings them and guides them to Fortuneteller Crone. Fortuneteller Crone is hundreds and hundreds of years old. She is very wise and all-knowing and all-knowledgeable, and she floats on top of a psychic crystal ball, upon which she can read almost any kind of divination, no matter what it may be, past, present, and future. Goku proceeds to ask Fortuneteller Crone if she could do a divination of where the last Dragon Ball is. He already has 6 of them. She, however, prefers to have 300 million Zen or Zenny to have it done. They don't have that money. So instead, they agree to fight in a tournament with her 5 champions. And so, Goku, Krillin, Upa, who Goku goes to the sacred land of Korin to pick up and bring to Fortuneteller Crone's palace, Puar and Yamcha participate as the 5 fighters. The first match has Krillin against Dracula Man. Dracula Man is an undead vampire who is a professional kickboxer that can transform into a bat in a whim and sucks blood with sharp, exceedingly long fangs, which he dips into his victim and drains them of their very blood for his own sustenance. Somehow he is able to operate in full daylight. So Krillin proceeds to fight. But despite all of Kululin's might, despite his martial arts abilities, he is unable to really fight or attack Dracula Man, who then proceeds to suck him dry of all his blood. No matter how hard Krillin tries, he keeps bleeding enormous amounts of blood and so has to forfeit the match because he passes out. And that's considered to be a forfeit. Also, Dracula Man kicks him in the water. So Krillin is disqualified, and Upa and Puar are able to fight together against Dracula Man. What they do is Puar turns into into some kind of a bird or an animal and confuses Dracula Man. Upa spits out garlic powder onto Dracula Man, which turns out to be his weakness. Then Puar transforms into a fly swatter and hits Dracula Man, but Dracula Man is still up. So Upa takes the shape of a human cross. Vampires are terrified of crosses, and he flees. Puar transforms into a giant glove and knocks Dracula Man into the water, and therefore he is disqualified. Yamcha then proceeds to fight in the second round, but he is unable to find the location of his opponent, who turns out to be Invisible Man. The Invisible Man is unable to be seen anywhere. Yamcha performs and fights with all his special martial arts skills and agility, using speed and agility to dodge Invisible Man. However, Invisible Man is also fast and quite strong, and Yamcha is very easily given a sucker punch, and is struggling quite much. Finally, Yamcha discovers that he can listen to the sounds and noises and the breathing moves of the Invisible Man. So Fortuneteller Crone sings very loudly so Yamcha cannot hear Invisible Man. Yamcha proceeds to use the Keiko Rokoku Kaifushin, the Wolf Fang Fist attack, but it is not enough. So Goku goes and brings Bulma and the mutant Roshi to Fortuneteller Crone's palace. Fortuneteller Crone is quite shocked to see Roshi, and they look each other down quite irately. Finally, Krillin proceeds to pull the bra around Bulma, showing her bare breasts, which causes Roshi to sneeze out a gigantic amount of blood all over the Invisible Man, destroying his ability to be invisible. Therefore, Yamcha, using Wolf Fang Fist, defeats Invisible Man, and he gives up. Yamcha wins the second round. And Bulma is completely embarrassed and talks about perverts and Roshi being a giant pervert and all of that. Finally, we find out that Roshi is Fortuneteller Crone's younger brother, and therefore the Fortuneteller Crone is Roshi's older sister. They're related. Anyways, they go up a giant chasm of demon staircase to the Devil's Toilet. Giant statues of devils sitting on toilets naked over a boiling poisonous pool or vat of poison and venom. Fortuneteller Crone explains that anyone who falls off the pillars and ends up in the pool will be completely disintegrated into absolute nothingness. Yamcha, however, proceeds to continue to fight. The third champion is Mummy, the Mummy. The Mummy, who is filled with bandages, He is completely undead and immortal. A giant, very muscular hulk of bandages proceeds to fight Yamcha. At first, it seems that Yamcha might have the upper hand. The mummy does not have any of his guard up. Yamcha proceeds to punch and kick and perform a volley of moves. However, none of them have any effect whatsoever on the mummy, who is even stronger than Yamcha is. The mummy begins to taunt Yamcha, then proceeds to beat the crap out of him, kicking him high into the air, knocking him down hardly into the devil's toilet. Not in the poisonous vat, but into the devil's toilet. Therefore, Yamcha, who is greatly beaten up, bloody, and bruised, proceeds to fight. Because of his own pride, Roshi comments about Yamcha's pride in resisting and fighting on, so the fight continues. They continue to exchange blows and to fight more and more, ever so. Yamcha then kicks the mummy off of the devil's toilet seats into the poisonous vat. It seems as if the mummy is done. However, the mummy stretches out his bandages and proceeds to pull himself up, hanging by a mere thread above the poisonous vat. Then he jumps off the side of the wall and lands back down onto the thing. Yamcha tries the Wolf Fang Fist, which has no effect whatsoever on the mummy, who proceeds to beat the crap out of Yamcha. Then he tries to throw him off, but Yamcha is able just to barely cling on with one hand and jumps back up. However, knowing full well that it is futile to continue the effort and coming very close to dying, Yamcha gives up. Next up is the last fighter, Son Goku. At first, the mummy literally laughs and taunts Goku because he is only just a mere small boy. Then, something happens. The mummy sees something in Goku. Something different in Goku. A different nature. A peaceful, pure-hearted, and happy nature, which is something the mummy has never seen before in a fighter. Nevertheless, the mummy goes all out. He punches Goku right in the face, kicks him in the torso, performs multiple hits, throws him into the air, and punches him down. However, Goku is completely unaffected whatsoever by it, and with just one punch, the mummy falls down and is unable to barely stand up. Nevertheless, the mummy continues to fight. After a few more brutal and hard exchanges, the mummy passes out and falls down, completely unable to continue the fight. Thus ends the third round with the mummy. Next up is the Devil Man, or Akuman. Akuman, Evil Man, Devil Man. Akuman is Japanese for devil, or for demon. Regardless, Master Roshi points out that the Devil Man is actually Fortuneteller Crone's strongest fighter and is usually her last champion. Why is it that he is the fourth fighter? What is going on, or what could be happening? In the background, behind the scenes, there is an elderly man with a mask, the mask of a rabbit. But he stays in the shadows, waiting for the next round. So Goku and the Devil Man proceed to fight. The Devil Man is able to fly, he has wings, he can levitate in the air, and he has sharp claws, one strike of which could cut through molten lava and sharp steel. Nevertheless, Goku very easily dodges it, and after a couple of kicks, almost knocks the Devil Man out. Goku tries to throw the Devil Man off of the Devil's toilet seat into the poisonous vat, but because he can fly, he just returns. Finally, the Devil Man, or the Demon Man, Akuman, has a secret technique called the Devil Might Beam. Any person or anyone or any entity that has even the slightest bit of an evil heart can be destroyed by the Devil Might Beam. So the Devil Man fires the Devil Might Beam on Goku and proceeds to cause his heart to explode from within his chest, killing him instantly. Master Roshi is truly shocked and beguiled, as is everyone else. However, despite the great power of the Devil Man, Goku is unaffected. It turns out, because of Goku's complete ignorance of the ways of the world and his pure heart, and perhaps also his young age, Goku is unaffected by the technique. So the Devil Man demonically spawns a devil's trident and tries to fight Goku, almost successfully cutting him in two. However, Krillin or Yamcha throw the Noibo to Goku. Goku is then able to use the Noibo and the power of the magical wooden pole to break the trident, and then Goku punches the Akuman or the Devil Man into the wall, knocking him out cold. He is thus defeated. It turns out that Akuman had actually won the greatest under the heavens martial arts tournament, or the Tenkaichi Budokai, twice. And with seemingly hardly no effort, Goku defeats him. Finally, the fifth champion emerges. Fortuneteller Crone is quite impressed and quite shocked at Goku's potential, and berates him as a Tiski, which is like a Middle English word for an annoying, incompetent child. Regardless, the fifth champion emerges, who turns out to be very human in appearance, covered in traditional Chinese Confucian clothing, and wearing a rabbit mask. Goku is very puzzled and actually quite surprised at the gentlemanly mannerisms of this fifth fighter. Instead of fighting in the devil's toilets, it is agreed that both fighters will go back to the previous stadium that is surrounded by water instead to proceed to fight in the final match. Mutant Roshi acts as if he might know who this person is. Goku also seems to find this last champion or fighter to be very familiar, as Goku explains that the man smells good in his own description to Krillin or Kululin. Finally, the fight commences, and, quite differently from the previous four champions, this time Goku is in for a match. A very difficult match, in fact. Meanwhile, a couple of hundreds of kilometers away in the mountains, using photo lenses from a satellite in the Earth's orbit, Emperor Pilaf, Soba, and Mai are in a Chrysler's car with the last Dragon Ball watching the fight from a distance. It turns out that none other than Emperor Pilaf has the last Dragon Ball and is once again plotting for world domination, to become the ruler of the world. Soba tries to ask Emperor Pilaf what he is going to do when he is king of the world, but Pilaf does not answer. Regardless, the last Dragon Ball is in a special magnetic box that distills and turns away the rays from which the Dragon Radar can detect it. Goku and the mysterious fighter with a rabbit mask. Oh, by the way, if you're interested, there's a character in Dr. Slump that actually wears a rabbit mask exactly like the one that this last fighter wears. Anyways, the match proceeds. Goku goes all out, but the last champion is very tough. He blocks every single move that Goku throws, even at the incredible high speed and ferocity that Goku is able to muster at all his might. Goku powers up to full power and increases his muscles, but still, no matter how much effort Goku tries, every single time the mysterious anonymous fighter blocks every single one of Goku's punches, every single one of his kicks, every single one of his blocking and dodging moves. Goku tries to use the rock, paper, and scissors fighting move technique, but the last fighter actually knows this Janken fighting move and very easily blocks all of it. It is as if this fighter knows all of Goku's internal secrets. Everything that Goku can think of, everything that Goku could anticipate, his opponent knows. His opponent is able to trace his every fighting move. It is truly quite a different experience indeed. Nevertheless, the fight continues. Goku is far from given up. However, the mysterious fighter tricks Goku, and Goku almost falls off the side of the ring into the water below. However, Goku, through a successful move of jumps, is able to dodge it. The fighting continues, but Goku is quite overpowered by this fighter and is almost cornered, and Goku just barely breaks out of the corner. The mysterious fighter thinks to himself that he is quite impressed with how much stronger Son Goku has actually gotten over all of these years. Indeed, this last fighter has met Goku before, but it seems as if Goku does not remember who this person could be. So the fight continues and increases. Finally, the fifth fighter puts his hands together, pulls his arms back, and says, Ka-me-ha-me-ha, and actually fires a Kamehameha wave that goes across the entire length and breadth of the lake, causing a large tidal wave on the other side. He is quite strong and can fire the Kamehameha. However, Goku uses the Zanzoken technique, or the after image or the split image technique, to dodge it. Goku then falls from the air and fires the Kamehameha. The mysterious fighter is quite surprised, very surprised indeed, that Goku has already learned the Kanzokan and the Kamehameha, since he is trained with the Mutin Roshi. But how does the fifth fighter know the Kamehameha? So anyways, he dodges it, and it destroys a bit of the ring and causes the bricks and rocks to blow up. In order to know the Kamehameha wave, one had to have at least trained for a time with the Master Roshi, or the Mutin Roshi, the Turtle Hermit himself. Nevertheless, it turns out that the fifth fighter also knows the Kanzoken fighting technique, or the split image technique. The fighting continues. Goku tries to trick the mysterious fighter into the air and tries to kick him off balance to fall in the water. However, the fighter does a flip, jumps off the roof of the giant 7-story palace, and proceeds to land back down as if it was nothing, just mere acrobatics. Then Goku tries to jump him from above and knock him into the ground. However, the fighter grabs Goku by his leg and throws him deep down into the ground, into the rocks below. But then the fighter jumps high up into the sky. Goku literally jumps out of the ground tens of feet below, right out of the rocks, up into the sky above, and they exchange dozens of blows in the sky before they land down. Finally, the fifth fighter does explain that Goku is indeed even stronger than he is now. Finally, the Mutin Roshi realizes that he has met this man before, and he knows who he is, and yet it is absolutely impossible for this man to be present at this time. The mysterious fighter actually tricks Goku into looking away and grabs Goku's tail and squeezes it because he knows Goku's weakness. Indeed, this is not the first time he has squeezed Goku's tail. Goku is completely drained of all power and is completely helpless. Finally, the fifth fighter knocks Goku and slams him with all his strength into the ground, bashing and beating him down in the turf. Goku is practically eating rocks. Finally, the mutant Roshi announces the identity of this man. He points out that the only way this man could know the Kamehameha, Genkin, and the Zanzoken, and to know Goku's weakness, is if he is in fact Goku's grandfather, Son Gohan. But it is impossible because Son Gohan died and had been dead for years, even before Bulma found Goku in the woods. How is it possible that Gohan had returned from the dead? This is also how Emperor Pilaf finds out about Goku's tail weakness and realizes that he can use that to defeat and crush Goku and get the other 6 Dragon Balls. After a degree of time of Gohan slamming Goku into the ring, Goku's tail is torn off, completely jerked off again. At first, Goku experiences a lot of pain, but eventually recovers, and also does not pass out like he did before. So once again, Goku does not have a tail. For the second time, and after the second Dragon Ball hunt, as with the first, Goku's tail is torn off. Finally, with no weakness to exploit, the last fighter proceeds to give up. It is the end of the tournament, and Goku is won, and will get his divination from the Fortuneteller Crone. Finally, the fighter takes off the rabbit mask and shows that he is grandfather's son Gohan. Goku breaks down in tears, cries, and is completely shaken, and is so happy to see his grandfather again. It is a family reunion, a reunion of grandfather and grandson. Goku cries and proceeds to hug his grandfather, and it is truly the end of a most exciting and eventful adventure. Goku, after the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, had journeyed out on the Kento-un to find his grandfather's lost Dragon Ball. This is how he began this adventure. And yet Goku ends this adventure by actually seeing his dead grandfather for one last time. Gohan is very proud of how well Goku has grown strong, how he has toughened up and has gotten stronger and has learned already so many different moves even at his age, and is just completely impressed by Goku's stalwart growth. So anyways, Bulma tells Gohan everything. So in the Dragon Ball anime, they have a complete flashback story of Goku's first 2 adventures and the tournament and the Budokai, but this is the manga, and in the manga they don't do none of that. So about half an hour later, they tell grandfather Gohan everything. Gohan pays his respects to Mutant Roshi, who was his martial arts teacher with Goemon, the Ox King. The Ox King and grandfather Gohan trained under Master Roshi. Goku pays his respects to Gohan, his ancestor. Gohan pays his respects to Fortuneteller Crone and the Mutant Roshi. And then finally, Roshi and Gohan talk about the Great Ozaru transformation that Goku is able to undergo, and asks Roshi if he found out about the Ozaru form. Roshi tells him that he took care of it by blowing up the Earth's moon. and Goku wants to know what they're talking about, and they keep it a secret. Of course, Goku, at this point in his life, does not know about the Great Ozaru form or the Great Ape form. Goku just knows that a monster called the Ozaru killed Grandfather Gohan. Goku does not know that he was the Ozaru monster, but they keep it a secret. Anyways, Gohan talks a bit about the afterlife, or the other world, as it is known, the afterlife or other world, and says he'll be going back to the afterlife again. It turns out that many, many years before the events of the Fortuneteller Crone Arc, Grandfather Gohan had actually come to get a divination from Fortuneteller Baba. And Fortuneteller Baba explained to Gohan that many years later, a boy would come and he would actually fight a boy. Or a boy would come and defeat all of Fortuneteller Baba's 5 champions, and that he, Grandfather Gohan, would participate in it, and the boy would win. Fortuneteller Crone says that she had no idea that this mysterious boy would actually turn out to be the grandson of Gohan. Regardless, Fortuneteller Crone uses her magical enchanted powers, and Grandfather Gohan vanishes into thin air, returning back to the afterlife, as he had a halo floating over his head the entire time, indicating that he was dead, and had come back to the living world for one day. Regardless, Fortuneteller Baba says the enchanted magical words, or the psychic enchanted mystical words, that gives her her divination. She explains that Goku will find the last Dragon Ball inside of a red car that is actually driving towards her palace that is about 100 kilometers away. Because there's not many cars or vehicles that drive in that area, it will be easy to find. So Goku gets on the Kento-un and flies to the location, and he does find it. Emperor Pilaf, Soba, and Mai are in the car with the last Dragon Ball. Goku has his 6. And Goku literally jumps on top of the car, and Emperor Pilaf is wondering what is going on. Goku tips over and asks them if he can have their Dragon Ball because he wants to use them. And then Goku remembers who Emperor Pilaf is, and of course Pilaf remembers Goku and the giant Ozaru that destroyed his citadel about 1 year before. Anyways, Pilaf, Mai, and Soba get out of the car. They turn it into a capsule, and Emperor Pilaf decides to strike a deal with Goku. At first, Emperor Pilaf tries to trick Goku into joining forces with him, but Goku refuses because he knows that Pilaf is evil, and so Pilaf says that if they win the fight, if they win the match, they get to use Goku's Dragon Balls, but if Goku wins, he can have theirs. So anyways, Emperor Pilaf, Soba, and Mai throw out these capsules, and they transform into the Pilaf machines. They're basically a lot like the battle jacket that Assistant Black used at the end of the Red Ribbon Army arc. They're different sizes and different variations, and they look a lot like the robot that Soba used to steal the Dragon Balls way back in the first hunt, or the first adventure. Anyways, Goku explains that he has gotten a lot stronger since he first encountered Emperor Pilaf. Pilaf just nags Goku down because he thinks he can take advantage of Goku's tail weakness, not knowing that Goku does not have a tail anymore. So, they get together using radio transmission in their machines to communicate with each other, and they proceed to take advantage of Goku. However, Goku, with just one punch, knocks Emperor Pilaf in his capsule machine into a giant rock instantly with almost no effort. Pilaf barely comes out unscathed, but nevertheless survives. Therefore, they perform a few diversionary tactics. They surround Goku on 3 different ends. And they proceed to try to do Operation Hit Goku's Tail. However, they are unable to find Goku's tail. So Emperor Pilaf tricks Goku, who is quite gullible, to look away on the other side, and then Mai grabs Goku and picks him up, and then Soba uses his flame, the part of his robot or his machine, to flame Goku's pants, burning them up, and then Pilaf jumps down, and surprise, surprise, there's no tail. So, because there's no tail to grab on and use to weaken Goku, they decide to retreat and flee. So basically, first, they combine their 3 machines into one. Goku fires a Kamehameha and destroys most of Mai's Pilaf machine. So Mai turns her Pilaf machine back into a capsule. Pilaf and Soba's machines combine into an ostrich, and they run away. Goku chases after them, so they fire a rocket at Goku. Goku kicks it back at them. It blows up, and the Pilaf machines are destroyed. In the anime, there's a little bit more goofiness in fighting, but it's mostly a goofy fight. I'm not going to lie, this fight that Goku does with the 3 Pilaf machines is kind of goofy, but in the manga, it ends pretty quickly, and so Pilaf, Soba, and Mai are roasted, and they're pretty much beaten. Goku takes their Dragon Ball because he won, and now, just as before, this is pretty interesting because in the first Dragon Ball adventure, Goku, Bulma, and the others had the 6 Dragon Balls. Pilaf had 1, and it was Pilaf that got the 7 Dragon Balls and summoned Shenlong. Now it's Goku that's getting the 7 Dragon Balls and basically winning. Goku also takes Soba's ninja outfit. So Goku now wears Soba's ninja outfit and just basically leaves. So Emperor Pilaf, Soba, and Mai decide that they're not going to go after the Dragon Balls anymore. However, I'm not supposed to tell you this. Not supposed to tell you, but Emperor Pilaf has a lot to do with the next Dragon Ball adventure later on. But anyways, that's it with them for now. Goku returns to Fortuneteller Crone's palace. He has all 7 Dragon Balls, and he's ready to resurrect Bora, Upa's father, who was killed by mercenary Tao Pai Pai, who basically spear-chugged him way back. So Bulma is really impressed and actually surprised at how Goku was able to go through all the difficulty of fighting the Red Ribbon Army and also defeating all of Fortuneteller Crone's 5 champions, plus defeating Emperor Pilaf a second time, getting all 7 Dragon Balls. The mutant Roshi is truly impressed with how strong Goku has gotten in such a short amount of time. Indeed, Yamcha and Krillin want to train even harder in preparation for the Tenkaichi Budokai. So anyways, Goku flies on the Kento-Un with Upa to the sacred land of Karin, from whence the incredible long and tall Karin Tower shoots up into the horizon in the heavens above, almost seemingly with no end. It is here that they come to the giant stone pillar that mercenary Tao Pai Pai had used to travel over 2,000 kilometers from the Red Ribbon headquarters to the sacred land of Karin in the first place. It is here that they land next to Bora's grave, where he had died and had been buried by Upa. It is here that they put together the 7 Dragon Balls, and Upa is very scared. He hides behind a tree. Goku calls forth the name of the enchanted, all-powerful dragon god Shenlong, and just like that, there is an earthquake. Some trees fall down, and the sky turns to black, and there's thunderstorms. Finally, the Dragon Balls shoot up in lightning, and the dragon appears. And the all-powerful, great, giant, and all-powerful dragon god, Shenlong, doth appears. Now, in the first summoning of Shenlong, I had pointed out and actually kind of insulted Shenlong about how small and rather pathetic looking he looked. This time it's different. This time it is a real dragon, a real Chinese mystic dragon of luck and harmony that doth appear into the high heavens, that doth sound its mighty dragon roar. Anyways, Shenlong looks down upon Goku, Upa, and Bora's grave and asks them to make a wish. They can have any wish granted, but only one wish. Any wish. And so, Goku tries to get Upa to make the wish. Upa is reluctant, but finally Upa says or tells Shenlong to bring back his dead father Bora back to life. The dragon does make it so happen, and then the grave where Bora was buried shakes and moves around, and they hear coughing and stuff and commotion. So Upa rushes over and helps to dig Bora up, and Bora climbs up. Yes, indeed. It is quite a stunning event. Now, I know, and this especially is true for you dub retards. You fucking dub retards. You take it for granted that Shenlong will just bring people back to life, or bring people back from death, and you take it for granted. But you're a dub retard, and very likely whoever is watching this is indeed a dub retard. This moment in the Dragon Ball manga and the Dragon Ball anime is amazing. It is impressive because this is the first time in Dragon Ball that Shenlong brings someone back from death. So now you know that Bora was the first person that Shenlong brought back to life. Bora climbs up out of the grave, he climbs up out of the dust and the mud and is coughing and stuff because he was suffocating under the dirt. He had been buried after all. Bora at first is very shocked and surprised about what's going on. He doesn't understand the nature or the condition of his surroundings, and at first doesn't remember. Then he finally remembers that some person came and arrived at their tent or their village and killed him with a spear. And it turns out Bora did not know this, but Upa and Goku explained that he died and Shenlong brought him back to life with the wish. Shenlong explains that his wish has been granted and is now going to depart. So the dragon bursts into fiery flames and lightning bolts. The Dragon Balls then shoot up into the sky high above, almost 3 miles above the land, though not quite anywhere as tall as Karin Tower is. Then Goku takes a look up in the sky and notices and pays attention where the 4-star ball, the Shi Chang Kuai, is at. Then Using his super speed and increased agility, Goku jumps all the way up to where the Dragon Balls are, grabs the 4-star ball at the very second that the 6 other Dragon Balls scatter into the 4 winds as they scatter instantly. Just like comets or bolts of lightning at jet speed, the Dragon Balls scatter across the entire face of the earth again. Goku lands down below, and just like that, the sky returns to bright day, almost as if nothing had happened beforehand. Upa is very happy and excited and breaks out crying to see his father alive again. Bora is also excited and happy to be reunited with his son. And Goku explains that he hopes that Upa and Bora will live happily ever after in their village or whatever as they continue to protect the sacred land of Karin and the Tower of Karin, from which at the top is the super ultra holy water, of which anyone who drinks, their strength will increase, multiply exponentially, or so the myth or the legend goes. Anyways, Bora tells Goku that he truly is a son of God, and Upa says that he is going to train very hard and become as strong as Goku is one day. So you see, even Upa is going to train and practice the martial arts because of his experience with Goku and their adventure. Anyways, this marks the end of the second Dragon Ball hunt, as well as the true end to the Red Ribbon and Fortuneteller Crone arcs. Upa wonders if Goku is going to go on another adventure to find his grandfather's ball. Goku says that he was able to jump up and grab it at the last second and shows it to Upa. This is also the first time that we see what the Dragon Balls look like after they scatter once the dragon departs. Upa says that it's just a rock or just a stone ball. Goku tells Upa that after the dragon departs, returning to the center of the earth itself to sleep, and the Dragon Balls scatter across the world, they turn to stone for 1 year. So the 4-star ball will be stone for 1 whole year and will then magically turn back to what it was before. Upa is truly impressed, so Goku leaves the sacred land of Karin. I shouldn't tell you this, but it will not be the last time that Goku will be visiting the sacred land of Karin, and indeed Karin's tower. So Upa and Bora say goodbye to Goku. Goku returns to Fortuneteller Crone's palace. The mutant Roshi is talking with Yamcha and Krillin. Goku arrives and says that he is ready to train for the next greatest under the heavens world martial arts tournament, or the Tenkaichi Budokai. However, it's not going to come for another 5 years. Roshi explains that because of all the numbers of contestants and visitors or tourists that came to the last tournament, the next Tenkaichi Budokai is scheduled to take place in just 3 years from now. So they have an even shorter window of training to train hard to win the next Tenkaichi Budokai. It turns out, and Roshi explains, that Yamcha is now his student. Yes, Yamcha, the desert bandit, the boyfriend of Bulma and master of the Wolf-Fang Fist, is now a student of the mutant Roshi. Goku is really excited to have Yamcha train with him in Kululin. However, the mutant Roshi tells Goku that he can only take on 2 disciples at a time, and that this time it will be Yamcha and Krillin that he will be training for the next Tenkaichi Budokai. Goku doesn't know what to do and asks what he needs to do to be trained by Roshi. Roshi tells Goku that Goku does not need his training anymore. He has learned everything he possibly needs to know from the mutant Roshi, and that now it is time for life to train Goku its most valuable or invaluable lessons. The Mutant Roshi commands Goku for the next 3 years to travel all throughout the earth, to fight, to study, to train on his own, to do everything that he can to overcome the weaknesses that he encountered when he fought his grandfather, Son Gohan, in the last match. Goku promises that he will get stronger and he will train as hard as he can. But before Goku can call forth the Kento-Un, Roshi tells Goku not to use it. He tells Goku to walk, to climb, to jump, to swim, to run, to walk, to never use any motor vehicles, and to never use the Kento-Un, but to rely on his own strength to travel the entire world and to train himself for the next 3 years. Goku promises that they will meet again at the next Tenkaichi Budokai in 3 years. And so, Goku starts running off out of Fortuneteller Crone's palace and into the desert to prepare his own self-training. This is the first time that Goku has ever self-trained himself. Goku is indeed already very strong and very outstanding, one of the strongest martial arts fighters in the world. What will he be like in 3 years from now? The Mutant Roshi, together with Yamcha, Krillin or Kululin, Puar, and Bulma, proceed to rush out and run as they go on a long exercise all the way back on foot to the Mutant Roshi's island. This marks the end of the Fortuneteller Crone Arc. There is a lot of great fun, but also kind of mishaps about the Fortuneteller Baba arc. It is not a very long arc. I don't consider it to be as good as the Red Ribbon Army arc or even the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. Overall, I have to say that the same type of gimmicks are rehashed and reused. Virtually no new techniques or power-ups or really anything of novelty is really introduced. Instead, we just get a little plot twist at the end where Goku's dead grandfather returns from the afterlife to visit him. There is one little bit of a spat with Emperor Pilaf and his minions as before, and it is just the tale of Goku gathering the Dragon Balls, summoning the dragon, bringing someone back to life, though this is the first time, and it will be reused so many times in the future. But regardless, it is a pretty decent arc. On the whole, I, Imperatorofforge, give the Fortuneteller Crone Arc a 4 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. I have been your host, Imperatorofforge, otherwise known as Forge Warhammer, the leader of Forge Gang. This has been my review of the Fortuneteller Crone Arc. This is a transitory arc, a sort of mini arc that leads and gives way into the next Tenkaichi Budokai, of which even stronger and even deadlier foes await Goku and his friends. What happens next? Find out on the next Saiyan Fridays, when I go over the 22nd greatest under the heavens martial arts tournament. I have been your host, Imperatorofforge, and I will see you there. Forge Gang! I'm still a hard man! Stay hard! I give the Fortuneteller Baba arc a 4 out of 10.